We're speaking with Leo Haviland on the 1st of August. Leo, the political conventions have just ended and there's a populist feeling in the nation, very unusual for this country. What steps do you expect to see the next administration, Democrat or Republican, take to respond to this populist upsurge in the country?
That's an excellent question, Scott. Much, of course, depends on who wins the election. Trump, on the trade issue, claims he will toss out or modify or not sign various trade agreements. However, Clinton, although she's indicated some hostility to the free trade mantra, probably will not be as dramatic as Trump. On taxes, Trump promises a major tax cut. Clinton will attempt to do minor changes, some on the student loan and debt situation, possibly raising the minimum wage, taxing the 1% or well-to-do a bit more. But her changes are more incremental than Trump's will be. However, the most significant difference between the parties, of course, relates to immigration. And there, Trump will build the wall, allegedly deport many, and not let Muslims and others, or at least as many of them, come in, whereas Clinton has a much more open border policy and is offering paths to citizenship rather than roads out of the country.
Mm-hmm. So looking toward the first 100 days, which is always such a focus after the election, what do you think each of them would do first?
We have to remember, Scott, that much will depend on how the Senate and House elections fall this year. If Trump happens to win and gets a Republican Senate and a Republican House, some of his proposals will pass much more quickly, even though he does have his disagreements with the so-called establishment. Clinton, however, will have a more difficult time getting legislation passed because most gurus believe that the House is going to remain Republican.
We're fortunate to have Leo Haviland with us today, a constant observer of central bank policies around the world, both the U.S. Federal Reserve and other countries. We've been speaking about this populist upsurge occurring around the world. Leo, do you expect to see central banks respond to this populist move?
Scott, the central banks, from the U.S. Federal Reserve to the European Central Bank, Bank of England and their allies, have already responded to the populist upsurge. The central banks represent the establishment and current elites, which some might term as the man or the powers that be. They not only have kept interest rate yields repressed and engaged in substantial money printing, and for the U.S. Federal Reserve have not increased rates at all, but are likely to continue doing so at least through the U.S. election. They really do not want Donald Trump or other populists to achieve power.